gagawin natin contact tracer. Sila po ay ititrain natin at ipadadala sa mga mas nangangailangan lugar. So yan lamang po ang maiulat ko at maraming salamat po sa inyong paglabda sa ating bayanihan to, mahal na Pangulo.
Thank you, Secretary Anyo. Can we hear Secretary Lorenzana now?
Good evening, Mr. President. Naigsing ulat lang po ito doon sa ating isang importanteng pinagkakaabalahan natin, yung pagpapauwi ng mga OFWs at saka yung ating mga kababayan na nasa Sabah. As of yesterday po, meron ng 200,431 na napauwing mga OFWs mula sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Ayon kay Secretary Bello, meron pa tayong inaasahang 80,000 na uuwi ngayong taon na to. So, yun po ang ating pagkakaalabalahan din. Yan po galing sa Sabah, yung pong panglimang batch nang galing sa Sabah ay darating sa Lunes, 400 po ito. Pag dumating po yun na meron ng mga 2,000 na dumating, meron pa tayong 3,000 na nandoon, naghihintay po ng tulong para umuwi dito sa atin. Yun lang po, Mahal na Pangulo.
Thank you, Secretary Lorenzana. Meron akong just food for thought for everybody. Now, in so many places around the world where Filipinos are working, are there, some are still in the limbo. Hindi na alam kung saan sila pupunta and makauwi pa ba sila o hindi. There are Filipinos who are itong mga seafarers. Karamihan ito na stranded, na iwan sa barko and they were not allowed to dock or magdiskarga ng intended cargoes nila for a certain destination because of COVID, and they were contaminated, and some who were not escaped and others were just stayed in the ships and just bear it all. Ito yung mga Pilipino na minsan may nabasa ako 2 years, 3 years na nasa labas, hindi makauwi. Now, I would like to direct the Foreign Affairs Department, yung mga commercial attaché natin, and even the police, we have police and military guys who are assigned in the different embassies. Kindly check and do a validation report kung meron bang mga Pilipino na stranded sa inyong lugar. In the area of your responsibility in other countries where you are assigned, I'd like you to check go around if there are Filipinos who are stranded in the different ships who are nasa dagat. Hindi yan sila sa port. They are not, I forgot the term of, they have not been able to dock at bumaba. Itinaboy sila sa Tagalog. Itinaboy sila at they are floating just like a flotsam, floating without really knowing what is tomorrow for them. So nakaawa naman ito, and it pains me to realize that nandito ako and I cannot help Filipinos who are struggling even just to exist and not live. They are you live one day at a time doon. Kindly check on this and maybe we can also request your corresponding requests to the government, the home government ninyo. Pakigawa na lang that all you can, whatever that effort is, try to just go out and help the Filipinos. Sana ay nakakaawa and a human being should never be a commodity that's just left behind to rot. These are human beings and Filipinos, both on the southern back door or kung dito sa ano. Now I'm happy to hear from Secretary Galvez that they are coming home. Some of them are from Sabah. Yun, hospital care. That has been a very ticklish issue between our government, and we are trying our best to appeal to the humanitarian sense of the Malaysian government to please help our citizens in your country, as we would do for your citizens if they are in our country. Sunod nito is Secretary.
Sir, in addition, sir, on the presentation of Secretary Duque, magbibigay lang po ako ng ulat sa ating Oplan Kalinga, yung mga ginagawa po natin na aggressive isolations po ng mga positive cases, lalo na po, sir, sa mga bahayan na hindi po kaya po yung magkaroon po ng home quarantine. Sa kabuuan po, mayroon na po tayong 79 hotels sa ating inventaryo na may 7,114 beds na maaaring gamitin para sa isolation. At nagpapasalamat po kami sa inyo po, Mr. President, dahil sa Bayanihan 2, meron po tayo makaka-allocate na 4.5 billion para sa pagpatayo at saka paggamit po sa mga hotels na to. Na nakita po namin, matutulungan po na meron po tayo naka-allocate na 128,000 na possible positive cases na pwede po nating ilagay sa mga hotel. Kinumpute po namin po ito na lahat po nito magkakaroon ng 14-day quarantine po sa hotel. And then ngayon po, sa ating mga treatment, ongoing po ang construction ng DPWH sa pamumuno po ni Sec Mark Villar at Yusek Sadain. Meron po tayo 1,006 na additional COVID-dedicated hospital beds by November 2020. So talaga pong pinapabilisan po ang mga construction po nito. At yung East Avenue Medical Center, yung 250 na dedicated beds for COVID ay na-turn over na po at nagbigay po ng more or less 47 million si Mr. Manny Pangilinan para po mabigyan po ng mga equipment. Yung na-turn over po yun sa last week po, kasama po kami sa East Avenue po, na-turn over po yun, na ibinigay po yung mga equipment. Dahil 250 po na additional po yun na beds po yun, kasama po ang more or less 25 na ICU beds. And then nagko-construct din po tayo ng 200 beds sa Rizal Medical Center. At meron din po tayong ginagawa sa UP Philippine General Hospital at ang pati po yung Batangas Medical Center. At ang ating ang ating Bayanihan 2 Recover as One ay nag-allocate din po ng 4.5 na pagpapatayo po ng medical isolation and quarantine facilities, mga field hospitals, dormitories for frontliners para po magpapalawig sa kapasidad ng ating ospital sa gobyerno sa buong bansa. At tinitingnan po din na po natin kasi sa ngayon po, Mr. President, kahit po yung, yung non-COVID cases po, tinitingnan po din po natin. Ayon po sa datos, meron po tayong top 10 leading causes of death in the Philippines. At nakita po natin dito yung heart disease, yung cancer, chronic respiratory, at diabetes. So yung po, pinagpaplanuhan po namin nila Yusek Vega, dahil po sa ating datos noong March at saka April, times 4 po ang casualty po natin sa mga non-COVID cases. Kaya ang ginagawa po natin sa strategy po natin ay pinalalakas din po natin ang preparation po natin sa mga renal patient. Katulad ng ginawa po natin sa Cebu, nagpatayo po tayo ng 20 na machines doon po sa, sa Cebu at mabibigyan po ng license to operate na po yung 20 renal machines na pwede po magamit. At sinabi nga po ni Mayor Labella na more than 1,600 po na renal patients po ang pwede pong gumamit doon. So ito po ang tinitingnan po natin talaga na nakita po natin na dapat po talaga, mahal na Presidente, palakasin po natin talaga ang mga hospital natin po na nakatutok po dito sa, sa mga tinatawag natin 10 leading causes of death para po maging prepared po din tayo na yung mga non-COVID cases ay maalalayan din po natin. Kasi lalo na po ngayon na talagang sa hirap po ng yung mga pasyente natatakot ay talagang napakahirap po na pumunta sa ospital. Maganda po ang ginawa po sa Davao nung si Mayor Sara na nagkaroon po siya ng desisyon na iba po yung COVID cases at saka yung sa non-COVID. So yung sa Southern Philippines Medical Center na 1,500 bed po yun. Mahal na Pangulo, maganda po makapagpagawa po tayo ng ganong klase ng mga ospital sa iba-ibang mga main island po. Kasi nakikita po natin, kompleto po yun. Meron pong Kidney Institute, merong Cancer Institute, meron pong ano po. Kailangan po talaga, ako po, Mr. President, on my personal opinion, kailangan na po natin i-modernize ang ating healthcare system. Matagal na po napabayaan po yung ating healthcare system. Kaya po, ito po nakikita po natin na malaki ang gap ngayon na nating hinaharap. At malapit po ako kay Senator Bongo na talagang ipus po sa Senado na i-modernize po natin ang DOH. High time po na i-modernize po natin kasi katulad po ng lung center, may biruan po nga doon yung lung center is isa lang po yung baga kasi yung isang annex hindi po nagagawa. So we need to modernize our special hospitals considering ito po talaga nakikita natin sa datos po na number of death every year tumataas po, mas mataas pa po sa COVID.
Salamat ho, mahal na Secretary. Mahal mo ako, mahal rin kita. Yan ang ano sa Tagalog, that's a peculiar, it's not, mga Bisaya, hindi masyado na ano. But mga Tagalog, ganun. So, I ask you before, kayong lahat na huwag gamitin sa akin yan. And you just address me as mayor para mas madali yung freewheeling tayo. When you say mayor, hindi masyado mabigat sa dila yung lalo na yung presidente na hindi nakikinig. There was this Tokyo film, short film, using contrivances na makikita mo ang ano in a dark, yung paano pag ubo yung tao tapos yung makita mo yung droplets nga tawag nila spread, it's about 6 feet tapos more in a kung walang ventilation yung mas grabe. So it reminded me when I was reading the letter of Dr. Panaligan, that short clip of film that shown by the Japanese. Kung maaari, hiraman ko lang siguro. Secretary Doki, can you make representations with the Japanese government, the embassy?
Yes, Mr. President, I'll do that tomorrow.
Hiraman ko lang, hiraman natin for our added information.
Uh,
That's all.
yes, Mr. President. And if you don't mind, Mr. President, na tanggalin ko lang po ito. Pinadala din po sa akin yung, baka napadala din po sa inyo ng Health Professionals Alliance Against COVID. Sila Panaligan po yan Dr. Panaligan, presidente ng Philippine College of Physicians, Mr. President. Sinasabi nila, kung babawasan yung isang metro to 0.75 meters, from 1 meter to 0.75, and at a 50% ridership. In other words, ang pasasakayan, 50% ng population. No? Dito sa NCR, ang death rate natin, new cases every day, will reach 686 per day. So if you multiply that by 30 days, you will have about 20,580 cases. Ito po, per day po yan. So yan po bagong kaso. If you multiply that by 1.6, which is our case fatality rate, meaning the number of deaths over the number of total infection, ang lalabas po rito will be 3,951 deaths per year. So yan po yung bukas sasabihin ko sa IATF. Na based po sa pag-aaral nitong AIM and HPAAC, and which consists of about 148 medical professional societies, para kwentas klaras ho. So whatever decision is made, at least malinaw na meron pong ganitong pag-aaral or modeling kung tawagin po, at meron din po naman, palagay ko, na mga iba na magpapakita din ng mga ibang pag-aaral naman na hindi po ganito kalala o kagrabe ang kanila pong projection. So bukas po malalaman po ito and we will give the recommendation, Mr. President. Thank you.
Yes, Secretary Roque.
Yes, sir. Natanong po sa akin kanina yan, and I have to say, bagmat marami akong issue na hinaharap, medyo mahirap po ito kasi parang ang lumabas sa publiko, nagbanggaan po yung dalawang higante sa gabinete.
Kaya mo yan. Kaya kita kinuha
Higante and the health department, no? Pinagsasabong silang dalawa. So, ang ginawa ko po, pumagitna na lang ako at ang sabi ko, in the end, si Presidente magde-decide po dyan. No? So, at nakabati po yan sa datos. Yan po yung sinabi ko kanina. Pero nais ko lang po sabihin ngayon, dalawa talaga yung mga pag-aaral. May mga modeling na ginagawa ang doktor ang sinasabing delikado, pero may pag-aaral naman yung mga transport sector na nagpapakita na with face shield and maskara, minimum naman daw yung
I agree with you.
Oh, so ang sabi ko na lang po kanina, anyway, hindi pa naman nasasabit sa inyo yan, titignan ni Presidente yung scientific data at from there mag-de-decision. So actually, yun po yung naging position ko ngayon dahil dalawang departamento, iba yung position nila. Pero in fairness din, Secretary Duque, ang sabi naman ng DOTR, kasi nung in-approve natin sa IATF, hindi naman nag-object yung mga taga-DOF, mga DOH.
Paano ko
Oo nga, pero may mga tao po kayo doon Kaya sabi naman ng DOTR, in fairness lang po, no? Kasi it was really approved by the IATF, pero wala namang objection yung DOH. At nandun din ako sa meeting, wala rin ako narinig na objection, no? So, anyway, 2 sets of scientific studies po ang binibigay nila So, in the end po, kayo magde-decide.
You know, you have to take into account physics. It's an everyday equation for humanity, civilization, physics. Ang problema kasi nitong sabi na shield, it's we're talking of direct transmission. Yung there is a continuous and no gaps na papasok sa tatama sa shield. But if you are riding in a bus on aircon or open, ang shield kasi would only protect you from a direct hit. But yung pag-ubo ng tao, tapos yung hangin sa, sa bus, pag pumasok na yung hangin dito, because the wind will guide kung saan yung virus. Pag dito sa dumaan, madala niya. But somehow, itong phase na ito, I think it's a fallacy to say that it will protect you from in every environment. Kasi pagkatapos niya ang hangin, dumadaan rin sa anywhere. It could be the aircon coming from the second seat would bring yung hangin papunta doon sa likod. Hindi naman that cannot be stopped by maybe ang mask talaga.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yes, Secretary Galvez.
Sir, I believe it is a matter of risk management po, sir. Kasi ano po, sir, sa lahat po ng lahat po ng ginagawa natin, lahat po 'yan may risk. If we reduce the sir, the 1 meter to 0.75, meron po tayong gagawing po, sir, at tinatawag nating risk mitigation. One of those is yung proper ventilation, meaning yung po, sir, dapat nagsisirculate yung hangin. And normally yung MRT natin at saka ating mga mass transport ginagawa po. Sinisimulate po ni DOTR po 'yan. Nag-uusap-usap po kami na talagang bago po ipatakbuhin yung isang transport meron na pong ginagawa silang mga mitigation process. Kasama rin po yung tinatawag natin sir, yung avoiding ng crowding at the same time kasi yung talaga yung pinaka-importante talaga, sir, yung tatlong 3C. Avoid crowding, yung close contact at saka yung confined spaces. And may mga instances po talaga na hindi natin talaga talaga yung 100% na yung 1 meter. Nakikita po naman natin na yung with the protections ng sir with mask and face shield at saka importante po, sir, yung sir, no talking. Kasi pag no talking, no droplet, no sir talaga yan. So yun ang pinakaano po natin sa transport na during no talking, no eating at saka no using of cellphone. So nakikita po natin sa ibang mga nag-evolve po yung yung ibang mga countries, and I think baka mamaya tayo na lang pong country ang masyadong very stringent sa 1 meter. Kasi po yung iba po nakita po sa picture, I think Japan talagang dikit-dikit na po eh. Pero ang po nila is no talking, talagang sasakay lang, and then talagang no using of cellphone, no eating. Ang pinaka po talaga natin sa sir, kung titingnan niyo sa mga hospital, ang pinaka-vulnerable po hindi transport. Ang pinaka-vulnerable po bahay at saka sa community. Kasi tinatanggal po natin ang mask. When we are eating, when we are talking with our friends, when we are talking with our coworkers, ang pinaka-vulnerable po talaga na nakita namin is yung workplace, mga kantina po, at saka sa smoking places. Pero kung mga shuttles at saka po yung mga transport, if we will have a controlled po natin, kailangan po talaga kasi yung po natin talaga, ang transport is a vehicle for for recovery. Kung wala po talaga yung vehicles and also yung po natin, yung tinatawag po natin na yung transportation, we cannot recover po, Mr. President. At saka po ang nakikita po natin based dun sa study din, mas delikado rin po yung mga private cars dahil kasi air condition po ang ginagamit. Mas delikado po based doon sa mga study na nabasa po namin. Kasi tinitingnan po namin din yung pros and cons. Ang nakikita po natin kasi pagka masyado tayong, ito sir sa amin, sir, as a manager, as a system analyst na katulad po natin, hindi rin po maganda yung risk aversion. Kasi pagka masyado mag-risk averse po tayo, sir, hindi tayo kailangan po, pwede lang tinatawag natin kasi system analysis, magkaroon tayo ng simulation. So, ginagawa naman po ni Secretary Tugadi yung mga simulations. Ginamit niya sa PNR, yung Philippine National Railways, ginamit niya po yung mga simulations niya. Kaya nga, sa ITF natin, supposed to be 0.5. So, i-simulate muna po yung paunti-unti. Basta ang pinaka po talaga is, po talaga yung standard na no talking, no eating, no removing of face mask. Palagi po, sir, kaya po nating i-mitigate po. Though yung numbers po na yon, yung kayang tinatanong nga po ni Secretary Dairit, na yung 500 po na yon ay sinasabi na yung additional wala silang reference. Doon kunya for example, ilan ba ang may infect kung 1 meter. So hindi po natin nakita yung increment between 1 meter at saka yung 0.5. And we believe nakita po rin natin na marireduce din po yung nakita namin sa aming operations. Marireduce po ang ang transmission po natin talaga. Kung magiging strict po tayo talaga na yung lahat ng mga positive, i-isolate po natin talaga. Pati po yung first contact. Yun po nakita natin na yung transport po will become immaterial. Kasi pagka once na-isolate po natin ang mga positive, ay nakikita po natin magiging safe ang transport po natin.
Well, I would not be around when you meet to make the recommendation, correct? Ganito na lang. Give me a sort of itong, I have here in my pointers kasi yung talking points. Yung the meters or fraction of fraction taken away from the 1 meter, bigyan mo lang ako ng, mas gusto ko yung visual. Maintindihan ko agad para makuha ko rin and I can explain it, I can translate it into words. Kung itong recommendation ninyo plus your narrative and maybe the others, anong gusto nila sabihin. Give me just more, parang syllabus. Ano lang.
Yes, sir. Will po, sir. I will do it, sir.
Yan, sekretaryan nyo.
Yes, sir. Kagabi po ay mga at doon din po yung nag-appearance nila yung pagkabawas ng distance dito sa sakyan sa mass transport. Dahil nga po science-based yung basis natin na 1 meter at yung distansya. Yun po, doon sa proposal na 0.75, pagkatapos gagawin pang 0.50, tapos gagawin pang 0.3, medyo delikado na po yun. Sumasang-ayon ako sa ating mga health workers, health sectors na ito ay magsisimula ng mga spike at parang roller coaster. Babalik na naman po tayo sa pinagmula natin, magiging ECQ na naman. So sana po talaga ito ay masusing pag-aaralan at science-based. Talagang kailangan makinig tayo sa expert kasi wala man pa naman talagang science na sinasabi na pag nag-violate ka sa less than 1 meter, kung ano mangyayari. Puro mga studies at speculation, pero hindi po sa science-based. So para po talagang wala nang madisgrasya pa na additional, sa aming po meeting tomorrow ay papakinggan namin yung argument ng health sector. Sisiguraduhin po namin na maayos po ang magiging presentation sa inyo kung ano pong magiging decision ninyo, Mr. President. Ayun lang po. Ang sabi lang po ay pinapaligan ko sila Secretary Duque dahil mahirap po kasi na dumating na tayo sa panahon na ito. Tapos magsisisi ulit tayo dahil maraming madidiskrasya na naman dahil sa pag-violate ng 1 meter distancing na sinusunod po natin itong minimum na to sa lahat po, sa opisina, sa mall, sa bahay. Pero pagdating po sa sasakyan, biglang nawala na po yung 1 meter. At ito po sa ating close contact na tinatawag, definition. Kapag po 15 minutes ka na nakausap mo yung isang positive at less than 1 meter, close contact ka na po. So, babago na naman din yung ating standard. So, kailangan po talaga dito ay consistent po tayo. Hindi lamang sa definition, ito sa kaligtasan naman. Maraming po salamat, Mr. President.
Thank you. So, there will be more talk about this matter when you meet on Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
Wednesday. I have a Wednesday meeting. But anyway, I will not be there. I'll just rely on your report and recommendation. But make the visual diagram for itong so many meters taken away from the 1 meter distance that we have been imposing. Sabi ko nga kay Bong na if I were you, you act as an opposition. You should do better than the opposition para mawala yung na you're trying to because of our relationship, you were my aide before, that you tend to protect, ganon. Sabi ko, why don't you be an opposition and try to look into all matters of corruption? Kaya man ang battle cry natin. And that is what I intend to do during my last 2 years. So, meron ako ditong report ngayon galing kay Secretary Guevara na to from the task force that I commissioned to do the investigation. You know, itong investigation na ito was participated in by the COA and the Ombudsman so that we can move faster. Yung coercive powers kasi ng COA, pati mas madali, records mo lang yan, the Ombudsman, we just try to report what's happening to the progress of the report and for him to act accordingly. So dito, they recommended the criminal and administrative dito. Basahin ko na lang. I'll do it in a jiffy. Liability, that's number 8 of the report, page 5 of 6 pages. The totality of the evidence presented before the task force supports the reasonable conclusion that wrongful acts or commissions on the part of certain key corporate officers of the PhilHealth have been committed. A. The negligence exhibited by certain officers of the PhilHealth Executive Committee gives rise to both sa revised penal code, the malversation of public funds or property, and the illegal use of public funds and property, gross misconduct, gross neglect of duty under civil service rules. In addition, the same corporate officers may be held liable for certain violation of the National Internal Revenue Code in connection with their failure to withhold taxes on IRM releases. B. While the board chairman and members exhibited negligence in several instances, to wit, their careless approval of ICT procurement, the ratification of the IRM, ito yung advance fund releases on March 2020, and the consent of the modification of judgment in court adjudicated cases, and negligence is somehow mitigated by the active concealment of vital documents and information and the apparent misrepresentation by those who had sought the board's approval. C. The foregoing notwithstanding, the task force recommends that the President strongly admonish and remind the chairman and members of the board of a grave consequence of their action or inaction to PhilHealth Fund, to the government and its coffers, and to the interests of the ordinary people who rely on PhilHealth assistance. Specific recommendations to the President, considering thus, in view of all of the foregoing, the filing of criminal charges against the following person is hereby recommended in relation to various ICT procurement, including the concealment of important information in relation thereto, violation of Section 3A RA number ano, I read that's the anti-graft 1319 against Vice President, ano ba ito yung S? Senior. Vice President Senior Aragona, OIC Gabuya, and Division Chief Cristongo. Second, violation of Section 3E of RA number 1319. Again, this is the anti-graft law. Against PCEO Morales, is VP Aragona, and OIC Gabuya. Third, violation of Section 3G of RA 1319. Again, another provision of the Republic Act. This is known as the anti-graft law. The violation of, maliliit kasi dito, violation of Section 3G against PCEO Morales, SVP Aragona, OIC Gabuya, and PRO NCR personnel. And karami pala nito. Of Article 213 of the revised penal code against PCEO Morales, SVP Aragona, and Gabuya in relation to the disbursement of IRM funds prior to the effectivity of the pertinent circular, malversation of public funds or property under Article 217 of the revised penal code against PCEO Morales and SBP Limsiaco. Second is the violation of 3A of RA 1319 against PCEO Morales and EVP COO Dr. Jesus, Senior Vice President Limsiaco, and Senior Vice President Pargas in relation to the release of IRM funds despite the lack of sufficient standards of implementation. Again, charges violation of Section 3A again of the anti-graft law against SBP Pargas in relation to the non-withholding taxes of the IRM fund disbursement in violation of Section 251, 255, and 272 of the NIRC, as well as the violation of RA 1061 against PCEO Morales and SBP Limsiaco, and violation of Section 258, rather 256. I'm sorry, my eyes are failing me. Of the NIRC against PhilHealth and Corporation. The filing of administrative charges against the following persons in relation to the above described action or omission is likewise recommended. Dishonesty, gross neglect of duty, grave misconduct, falsification of official document, disloyalty to the Republic of the Philippines and to the Filipino, the inefficiency and incompetence in the performance of official duties and or conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service against PCEO Morales, EVP CEO De Jesus, again, Senior Vice President Aragona, Senior Vice President Limsiaco, OIC Gabuya, and Division Chief Crisostomo. Further investigation on following complaints against other officials and employees of the affiliate as contained in Part 7, Part 6 of the attached task force affiliate is hereby recommended. Ayun lang, in a nutshell. I have to read this because on the issue of fuel health and corruption was really an important issue to the Filipinos and to everybody. And everybody, again, is also placed in jeopardy by the actions of the officials. I'm sorry for them, but they would have to undergo trial. Although they can always prove their guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Pula man namang ano pa eh. The presumption of innocence still attaches. But the report of another agency says otherwise. So, ganun ho ang nangyari sa PhilHealth. Halos lahat sa board. So, well, I'd like to thank all of you for, again, spending time with me to explain to the people what we have to explain to them, to talk to them. I hope that they would be able to get some, ang nawala lahat yung pinag-usapan natin dito. Because the talk of the town now, dyan sa mga kapihan, ito na yun.